When I was younger, I was the most average guy ever. I had an extremely normal physique, I was shorter than what I am now, and I was weaker than most people my age. I went to an all-boys school, and just when playing around or in PE, I just felt weaker than everyone else. I feel like I'd just get pushed around a lot, and I just felt weaker than most other people. So I was naturally quite weak, I was insecure. Here's a picture of me from like a few years ago. And like I said, absolutely nothing special whatsoever. And that's why I wanted to start the gym. I wanted to make a real change. And when I first started the gym, I expected to see newbie gains, which is what a lot of people tend to notice. But for me, I didn't notice any of that, which I thought was weird, because who doesn't notice newbie gains? So for me at that point, I wasn't gaining nearly enough what I wanted to. I wasn't gaining size or muscle or strength. So for me, the best course of action was to go on a crazy dirty bulk. Now, I was quite inexperienced. I didn't really know what bulking or shredding was, but I'd heard that dirty bulking was a quick way of putting on muscle and size. So in this video, I'm going to explain why I decided to go on the dirty bulk, how long I was on the dirty bulk for, and finally the effects it had on my body, like my physique and my strength. Okay, so first things first, why did I decide to dirty bulk?
So before I ever started working out, I was 17 and I was in secondary school.
And like most people that age, in that position, I didn't have a lot of money, which meant I had to budget the food I was eating.
So like I said earlier, I just struggled so much to put on any strength and size at the beginning of my journey.
So at that point, my plan was go out, find cheap foods, high calorie foods, and just stuff that I could eat really quickly, and I didn't care about the nutritional value at all.
Yep, that's right. I didn't care about protein, sugar, carbs. If it was there, I was going to eat it. Because I was new to it all, I didn't know about dieting or meal planning. I just wanted to eat as much as possible because I wanted to put on as much strength and size as I could in the shortest amount of time. So here was my daily routine on a school day. So in the morning I would have eggs on toast, or I'd have cereal and then get a sandwich on the way to school. And with that sandwich I'd always get like crisps or sweets. Like I said, I didn't care about sugar. Then on to lunch, I would have Subway every day without fail. I'd have nachos with that, and then I'd get a ridiculous amount of donuts and cookies, which looking back on that was over the top.
But for me, having no money and then seeing all these donuts and cookies for like 50p each, I just had to do it like every day. Probably had like 1500 calories a day from just donuts alone. Like, it was ridiculous.
And then after school before dinner, I'd have a protein shake and a bagel. And then finally for dinner, ideally I want something high carb and high protein, like pesto pasta with chicken.
So that diet there, the high carb, high protein, massive calorie deficit, I was on that diet for about a year. At the beginning of the year, I was 70 kilograms, and by the time I finished the bulk, I was 89 kilograms.
So here's me in October 2019 at the very beginning of my fitness journey. And 1 year later, after bulking like an absolute madman, this is what I look like. Now, as you can see on the right, I am rather large, and that's what eating 3 donuts every day for a year does to your body, guys.
Now, the reason I only bulked up until that point is because I got an injury, which meant I couldn't work out anymore, so I just stopped eating everything. To be honest, if I hadn't have been injured, I think I might have stopped bulking how I was, because looking at that now, it's just, I don't look good. I'm too fat, I didn't put on enough muscle, I put on way too much fat. Instead of eating so much, I should have tried to eat more protein, but just less, like sugar and carbs.
So the next question.
How much did dirty bulking affect my strength?
And the answer is, I didn't gain nearly as much strength as I wanted to in 1 year. So I put 60 kilos onto my deadlift, I put 60 kilos onto my squat, and I put 30 kilos onto my bench press.
Now, that is good progress, it's good numbers, but for the amount of weight I put on and for the amount of time I was training, that wasn't good enough for me. I was quite surprised by that progress, because for me, the idea of dirty bulking, you're going to make crazy progress, but that's just not the case. For the amount of weight, fat, and muscle I put on, the strength for me just wasn't there. However, if I chose to go a different route like clean bulking or just eating a lot less, maybe I'd be even weaker.
So even though I was still unsatisfied after the end of the first year, the dirty bulk probably helped me reach my full strength potential.
So, would I recommend it? It depends. If you are pure ectomorph, cannot gain any muscle, skinny, I'd recommend it. However, for someone like me that's just a bit of everything that look like this, try your best to clean bulk, get your protein in, complex carbs, and you will slowly start to make progress. Because for me, the strength I had compared to how bad I looked, it just wasn't worth it.
So if you are super skinny and really struggle to put on muscle and you're planning on dirty bulking, don't be like me. Focus on the protein and the carbs and try and stay away from sugar. But definitely do not cut it out completely because it is essential, especially for hard gainers. So yeah, that's my personal experience with dirty bulking. It didn't go too well for me, but hopefully for you, if you're going to try it out, it will go good. Coming to the end of this video now, but before that I've seen a few comments about what camera I'm using, what microphone I'm using and my editing software, so I've left the links for all of them in the description down below, just in case any of you guys want to check it out. And that's the end of this video. Cheers guys. Just one more thing, as you can see, most of you watching my videos aren't subscribed, so if you could take the time and click that button, that would be really appreciated.